Hi, welcome back to Black Girl Magic Book Chat. I am Larissa, the African American Resource Center Coordinator, and I have been chatting with you guys about books all month long that have been written by Black women just to share their stories. So this week I read A Spy in the Struggle, which was definitely not as intense as Freshwater, which I read last week, but it was still pretty thought-provoking. So A Spy in the Struggle is not a book that I would normally pick up. It's something of a political thriller, and I like thrillers, but political thrillers is not something I necessarily pick up when I see it. But honestly, look at this cover, right? Like the afro. And so it's beautiful. And I was like, okay, it got me interested. And then the story itself just took me from there. So about A Spy in the Struggle. So this book was about Yolanda, who was a so-called whistleblower who was laid off from her New York corporate law office after it's raided by the FBI for, I don't actually remember what, something illegal. But she comes to work and they're like, here, shred these documents. And then she sees FBI and she's like, no, I'm not going to shred any of this because no, I don't want to be implicated. So she refuses to help them lie. And so she's laid off, obviously, because they've been raided. But not only that, she's blacklisted from firms in the area. So no one wants to hire her. And so as a last kind of ditch effort, she applies for the FBI Academy. Well, she had already applied, but now she goes into the academy because she just wants to be an attorney. It's a last ditch effort. No one will hire her. So she goes through. Yolanda is like a very low laying. She wants a simple existence. She wants to be an attorney. She wants to make enough money to live a nice life. And she's not high maintenance at all. She wants to live pretty simply. And so she thinks that she's got it once she starts working for the FBI. She obviously is getting paid a lot less than she was at this corporate office, but she's chilling until one day, somebody from a California office, she's in New Jersey now, somebody from a California office comes in and says, hey, we need you to go undercover to stop a Black extremist group that they call Red, Black, and Green. And so obviously she's picked because she's Black. And they don't really want to use her. She's a newbie, she's inexperienced, but she's Black, she's young enough to think she can infiltrate this organization. So Red, Black, and Green, or RBG, is a group that's mostly led by kids. Its focus is to expose environmental racism, particularly by targeting this one company in their community that doesn't hire the people from the community. So this community is full of Black and brown folks, and this company has come in. They promised jobs. These jobs didn't happen unless they were like janitorial or service work in that way. And not only are they in the community and not hiring the people there, but they're also dumping toxic waste in various parts of this community, though obviously the community can't prove it. So RBG wants to expose him and stop them. And so apparently they are coming in and interrupting something that the government has going on. So it's Yolanda's job to stop the RBG group. And so one day, a woman who works for this company is found dead. She's found dead of an apparent drug overdose, but no one believes that. And so this group has a deeper meaning now. They step out to expose this company, this corporation, as the culprit for this woman's death. And so when Yolanda gets there, she is firmly on the side of the FBI, right? It's her job. They've already kind of let her know what type of people they are. So her initial dealings with them kind of confirm that they're just like like playing the victim, et cetera, et cetera. They complain all the time, but they like don't do well in school on purpose, or they argue with the police. And she's like, if you would chill, you'll be okay. And, obviously we know that's not the truth. So the more she gets to know them, the more she understands what it is they're doing. She sees, right? She kind of sees the reality of a government with a history of shutting down these so-called extremist groups in these extreme and inhumane ways. And they even mentioned that they talk about the Black Panther Party and Fred Hampton's death in this book. And so you can kind of see those parallels. So this book is great. I feel like I spoke really fast, but this book I thought was really good. I give it a 4 stars. It was an easy read. And what I mean by easy is that like the author was not, like the material wasn't dense for no reason. But she did an excellent job, I think, of showing Yolanda through these abrupt flashbacks that highlighted how even the smallest things in our lives affect the way we view things and affect the way we respond to them. Because as a person who's read a lot about a lot and kind of have obviously seen some of the wild injustices committed against people of color in this country by government entities, the fact that Yolanda went into this with no question of whether or not these kids were up to no good was a little annoying at the beginning. But there's this moment in the book where she's like arguing with the love interest, and she says, and I'm gonna read it. She says, "We don't all have Black nationalist parents who tell us what the government is really up to. Some people are from Midwestern towns where everyone watches Fox News and believe what the preacher tells them. Some people are from places where everyone doesn't have a goddamn question authority bumper sticker on their car, from places where you get your ass kicked if you question authority. So you just do what you're told. And it doesn't make them stupid. It just makes some people in a bad situation." And when I say thought-provoking, it's kind of like that. This book has a lot of quotes where we kind of recognize that, like, she's right. Not everybody is an activist, right? Not everybody is from a place where they kind of really understand the nuances, especially as a person like Yolanda, whose goal is to just live simply, right? And so for her, this situation really opened her eyes, and it opened mine in a way to remember that that's right. Because when I think about reading the earlier parts of the book, and I was kind of slow reading because I was like, how can she not know? But the reality is everyone's not a political activist, right? Like, we experience things, but sometimes, like with Yolanda, people just live where they just want to live. And it doesn't actually occur to them to question things unless something happens. And something always happens. Eventually, you're going to question something. And I think that's what a lot of this book is. You got these kids who know what's up because they're in a position to know. And so it wasn't until Yolanda was put into a position to know that she kind of realized, oh, wait, things are not what they seem. And I really like that, because that's how we learn, that's how we grow. I remember when I was a teacher, so before I joined the library staff, I was a teacher. I taught 8th grade. And I remember I would always tell them every year, like, this was part of my opening spiel, like, take everything I say with a grain of salt. Just because I tell you it doesn't mean it's the truth. You should still question me as your teacher. And they were like, what? Really? Why would you tell us that? But that's real, right? We should not just take what people say to us at face value. And so this book kind of reminded me of that. And not only that, I learned a little bit about environmental racism. That's not something I'm well versed on. And not just environmental racism, but like climate change and the effects of what humans are doing to the earth that's affecting our climate. This is not like a debate, right? Climate change is what you think it is, but it did make me think about the ways in which humans leave footprints, and the way that you can't do things without it affecting something, and the way that we do things on these big scales absolutely absolutely do influence the way we're living. And another thing, it was the kids that really kind of did it for me. As a person coming from education background, I believe that kids are the future. We've been saying that for years, but I do think that this group of kids that are coming up, this generation I think they're tired, right? They are ready to kind of be in a world where they feel like they can make a difference and they want to make a difference. So they are trying, in this book, kind of showcase that Um, it was a reminder that kids are going to be the ones that save us, quite honestly. They're definitely the future. So I know that was kind of long-winded, but it was definitely a page turner, very engaging, and very much something that brought me back from freshwater because I'm still kind of grappling with that. So we have one more book of the month. I can't wait to read it with you all. Until then, go read A Spy in the Struggle, or go read any of the other books that I have read this month. I'll see you then.